First of all, thanks you for joining in this session on showing the updates and news of IP Screener development so far this year. And it's great to have you on board. If you have any questions, the best thing to post them is to write them down in the chat so we can track them and follow up on them accordingly as well. And of course, if feel free to interrupt at any time. We're going to focus on some part of the modules this today. There are also other options which we're going to show and focus on later on. So first of all, I'm just going to introduce where we are. So the IP Screener has been around for some time, and lately there have been several developments and enhancements with use of different AI tools and options we have had around in our internal development as well. So I just want to show you a little bit on what we have been doing and how we have improved their performance and interface and interaction with the data in IP Screener platform so far. So right now everyone should be able to see the landing dashboard in the IP Screener platform, just showing how that looks like. That's basically the summary, showing you the total summary of your activity so far within your own account. So the system assembles relevant documents and parts to show you the innovation landscape you have achieved so far, basically based on your activities and what you thought were considering relevant. So this is just a landing page where you see what you'll be doing and the work you've done in the different modules. On the left part, we have the modules which are available in the platform, or you have been using for some time. The search case is basically where we started, where you can create a search case. You can iterate search by search. The AI will improve upon each interaction based on your actions and selections of documents and comments made to make the next search more relevant. But then we have also included other options and in ways of interacting with patent data, which we're going to choose a little bit today. First of all, the focus here today is innovation management, where you assist the creation of invention ideas, and where you are able to being assisted in filling in a template for invention disclosure, but also in that moment get automatically prior art provided in the background. We also have a module called claim charting, where you are putting in a patent document or invention disclosure or in the invention text or something, and the data will be shown in a claim chart manner to do more visually see what kind of documents that are relevant for what features in your claiming structure or your idea. Then we also have up here what we call the Creative Studio, which is a chat environment. We are able to upload either your own case, your data, or your subset of data. It could be patents, it could be books, it could be literature, web pages, and you can chat with that in a safe environment. Or you can also query the database and patent documents and interact with that data actively, or in terms of pre-prompted actions or your own chat language, like a ChatGPT, but in a safe environment. And then we have also, we're going to show latest an AI agent with a lot of talks about agents so far, where we assemble the skill set and you're able to put in an invention disclosure or infringement analysis or similarly, and the system will perform an automatic screening to present the preliminary reports on which you can then take on. The whole focus on our platform is to assist, so human in the loop, so you are provided with some data and then you can improve on it rather than trying to replace the whole thing. Just before starting showing the content, it's important to also note that all processing is taking place offline in our premises in our own local cloud, which is encrypted and locally stored. There is nothing going online. All our models are deployed on our premises and controlled by us. There is no leakage of data between accounts, between use and so on. So no other actions will affect what you do, and what you do will not affect others. So that's a very important part, that you have a just understanding of data, and that the processing is totally safe and clear locally. So then we set up an environment. I can mention also we have a monitoring module as well. I'm not going to focus that today, but it basically is performing regular monitoring on a specific technical area. So we can start with the first set which can be of interest to review, where we are interfacing prior art data along with the creation of a new invention. That's called invention management. So if I want to create a new invention, I start here, and also to note that this can be deployed or implemented, integrated into existing IPMS platforms. We already have had connectors to platforms like Anaqua, Unicorn, and IPfolio. So that what you see here is our web platform and our UX, which then can be either integrated in parts or in data with other platforms as well. At our platform, it looks like this. You can start a working mode in our new invention, either with the guided mode or advanced mode. Basically, advanced mode is that you fill in the template of invention disclosure on your own, and you ask for what you want, where you want to have aid on the assistance of AI and know-how in each specific field. So you have total control. In guided mode, it's more automated, so I'm going to show more on that. But of course, basically, advanced mode is just you doing it in a regular way, but you can fill in data with the assistance of AI. In the back end, you already see that here is a typical invention disclosure template, and that's we now want to populate that with your first idea we have. I'm going to take a super simple example here today, just to understand it. So here we have then a workflow where we start. So I have a first idea, and today, my idea is basically this. Sorry, now I have faded out, so I'm just going to have to put back. Just a few seconds. Sorry for that. There we go. So here was my super simple example. It's a disposable coffee cup made of disposable material. It's thermally insulated, so you can keep it in your hands without getting burned, but you also have an indicator on the outside showing the temperature of the content so you don't burn your lips while you're drinking it. This is my first idea, very generic, and I want to start use this concept for filling in my invention disclosure. So in this case, first of all, in the guided mode will identify some of the features that are seemingly included in my document, in my idea description. Now it is very short. This could be, of course, a longer document. You can upload a whole file or a drawing or a combination of files and drawings, that's depending on what you have as a material. So here I say, yeah, the important part here is the temperature sensitive indicator. I think that is innovative. Thermal insulation is background. And the rest, well, it could be of interest or not. It has already suggested, but let's say I don't consider those relevant at this point. So I continue for the next step. So these two are my main areas of focus, which will then guide the research in the next process when the AI assists me on the research. So now it's searching for relevant patent documents in the backend, but it can also be an internal archive of invention disclosures. It could be like a 3GPP standard or ETSI and similar documents. In this example, we are showing how it retrieves patent documents related to my invention. And the idea here is that you get some kind of guidance or navigation already at the starting point instead of later on. And you can use this information to improve your inventive concept already during the ideation stage. What we see here that the AI has found some documents and already ranked them according to the features I stated. So I had two features I selected. So it was temperature sensitive indicator and the thermal insulation. Here we have one document which is already being proposedly ranked similar by the AI platform to my invention disclosure. And I also see that the two features I have here to rest and how many passages in the document that are related for a certain part. So one for one, we see here that I already said to the system that thermal insulation is probably not so inventive, so I said that was background. And you see here that all documents talk about that, so it's actually background document already because it's red. Red means it's basically dead. And then for the temperature sensitive indicator, we see that some documents show that, and those are relevant. And then we see that the first document is considered similar. So if I think, yeah, this is an important document, I can already here rank it to be similar to my invention, or I can change it if I don't think it's similar. I can go back to its background according to my own rankings or opinions. It's zoomed here into the document where it's seemingly most relevant, but I can go to different parts. So the first passage talking about temperature is here, second relevant is here, third most relevant is up here. And in that part, I can also even go down and rank parts of this if I like to have that part being ranked as a comment in document if I want to highlight certain features. If I don't think a document is relevant, I can of course re-rank it to say it's different. Let's say this document, the first one was good. It's actually talking about the same thing. And the second document in assembly now is also rating. Actually, it has other coverage for both parts. And I see here, here's a coffee cup and it has its temperature indication mean, so it's seemingly spot on as well. And I can then continue and review documents. If I approve with this, I go to the next stage, and then I want to populate my invention disclosure. So here we have now a assembly, my invention disclosure, some features, the features I highlighted, and I can also define if I want to describe those features in more detail. I can add text to it, of course. And here we see some of documents that were retrieved, and I think that is good and a good start for starting. So I fill in the invention disclosure. And then we see that this is the template here, which is then built on. And now it's already in my first drafting, I already have some documents in the back and be included with reference to a document. If I like it, I can review it in full text and rework it on it and keep going for certain areas like this. So this is the background. Up here we have what is your invention. And we also see down here the features that I had included. If I want to add now, if I had already, in this case, I already found out that both we were agreeing on that the insulation part was not invented, but the heat indication could have been. But as such, it was already revealed by several documents. Which means that if I want this to be an invention, I have to provide more details, and then I will be able to put that into this field, and I can start them. But I want to rewrite that part in certain parts. So of course, we want to include thermo color means like this for filling in, and I save this as a first draft. And maybe I now want to share it with another person. I can share it with other people here. So I put in insert there, and I put that in, and then we can work together like in document online. For of course, AI is assisting us to fill in some part of documents, but we're going to work together. We're going to bring in more data. Also on the back end at the down, we're going to see that there are documents being retrieved as we speak, as we work on documents. Now I have one first safe, but I can then start retrieving more relevant documents along the process. I'm changing new data to be addressed in this document. And in this process, I can then iterate one by one, and the documents that are being added is then included in my portfolio of cited prior art. Right now in this document, we have these documents being cited, and they were all quite relevant. So as you see in this case, I need to rework and find more data on why the invention is relevant. But the important part here that if I'm working on this, I can then reach out to share it with other inventors, but also with a potential IP attorney to have a review on the case together already when I'm working on it. If I want to do another manual update, maybe I change something here. So I want to include this document was really relevant, but I want to include a better passage of how that relates to my problem. I can then put that in a certain section like this. And then we see that the AI gives me so short summary for me. And I can, of course, then on my own, and also we think that blah, 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 and I save it again. And you see, we start working on document. I can always go back to my first option and then back to my last like this. So I keep working, iterating. And all the way, we can see how much was actually AI generated and how much was not AI generated. If you want to see how much data which is being provided by a human being, or the AI altogether. So you can see how much did I write, how much did the other person write, how much was actually just generated by me clicking on a button. And then this work, if I'm now in the next level, I added more information on how the invention works. Then I'm able to research here manually. So yeah, give me more data on that. And here are specific queries. How do you search all at the same time? But or you query the patent data, you query the standard data, like as an example, or you can also query, for instance, your internal archive of invention disclosures or other material you have to include that also in the invention workflows in that process. In the end, when you have done a lot of iterations and you think you want to move on to the next step, you can then preview it and export it, and then all the indications on what kind of data will be included in what fields will be then taken away. So it looks more like a standard invention disclosure. So this is a way of a new model for assisting the R&D, basically, and to get the research done a little bit more comprehensively through navigation, also with IP material, and include IP people in that dialogue early on. To the navigation here, you see, just to show a bit on interface, here are the chapters, and these can, of course, be changed later on. This is an example template, how an invention disclosure can look like, but most have their own setups. You have style sheets, you can upload drawings, and all those parts, like in any shared Word document, you have the same setup here. And you're able, in the end, to see the portfolio of documents you have been working on as well. So this is the general setup for the Invention Manager module, and either it's being used in this setup or integrated. So I'm gonna take the example to move on to another module.
You missed to show also the generated claim.
Yeah, that's right. So we also have added parts in the end. If I'm here and now this was quite known, but if I would try to claim something here, I can give an example claim. And this is not really a full claim, but just giving in a discussion ground for a person that is going to review this document. So if a claim according to the invention look like this, but if you can then also tweak it to take into account the relevant prior art found, then it's going to be narrowed down. So it's giving you a sneak peek on how a claiming situation would look like in this document. Now, of course, in this AI mode, you can regenerate also everything. Yeah, give me everything in bullets. I want to do everything myself. Then it sort of puts that, but taking also into account the prior art I already provided. So you see here, it now rewrites and gives more relevant references to documents in there, and I can then save again. So either you do it totally manually, because if I go back to do it in the, if I would use here, I do a new invention, I do it completely manual. Then I fill it in like this. I only want to have bullets, and I want it to be very strict. And then I can generate like this. And it's going to be just showing me very short information. I fill it in. So I think actually it's basically this is where I mean, you have to fill in on your own. If you just press a button, anyone can press a button. It's an AI doing the invention anyway. So it should be a way of assisting you to find inspiration on how to move on more quickly and fill in document more efficiently. See, this is just the two ways of how you can work. You can actually also have it start, of course, with a completely blank template. So you still have options going total manual or sort of half automated version to this.
You have one question in the Q&A.
Yeah. Yes. Let's see here. Let's see here. I can't see the question.
It's in the Q&A tab, not in the chat tab.
Okay, let's see here. Yeah. You mean, so the question is, could you search similar products on the market as prior art? Yes, there is also an option to search on the internet in general. That's an add-on module. And then it screens some home pages you can find. I guess if that was a question, otherwise, please inform if it's a different focus, because then you will search on the internet to see if there is other options available. That's a separate module. It's not in the basic setup right now, but you can add it on. We basically use that for also finding potential dependencies on patents in a coming model on license searching. So this is the general. I'm going to show also how this could look like if you would use it more because this is one way of reviewing the data in a search. Another one would be doing it more like a claim chart way. I'm going to show how that works, because this is a more sort of intense processing part. But then you put in an idea or a patent number like this, and it's going to do the same different distribution and analysis on features and trying to map relevant documents found to those features, either from existing claiming scope in the patent document or decomposing an idea text or document into those features. Now, this is taking like 5 minutes, so I'm going to spend time on that. So I'm just going to show a pre-run case. So I put the same text here in. This is the disposable cup with heat indicating means and so on. And by putting it in, you see here that we have some features being identified again. All the features, because I haven't taken away any as I did in the previous example. But we also see here that the documents are being found. This is more like a review process for you that have seen claiming charts. And we see that the AI identifies and has done some reasoning on what kind of documents are relevant for what features. So we see there is the red, that part is more or less covered within the document. So having a temperature sensitive indicator is being discussed here, but not in this document, because only background discussions there. And same thing here, in this document we see the thermal insulation is not being disclosed in this document, for instance. What we've been adding on this layer, that why it takes a little bit more time, is that we try to also decompose to the source in the document. So, because I mean, just saying a document is relevant, it could be thousands of pages, would help any. It could take as much time or more to just identify why it's relevant. So if I open up this document to see where it is, I see again the similar view, and we also have the mapping to the specific features here. So if I want to see what features are talking about certain parts, I can move directly to those areas and then highlight and make comments if I think I agree. And same thing for the thermal insulation and the others. And we see here that some parts are green. That means there's only background according to the pre-analysis. If it's red, it's closest, then it's more or less revealed or disclosed by the AI engine as such. And I can go through different documents and make comments. So this is a way of just reviewing relevant prior art in another way from the first instance, and in the view of claiming scope. And you can then adapt this. You can of course add your own features. You can also add more documents, your own documents. This could be of course, doesn't have to be a patent document, could be other documents, and then it resorts, because the most relevant document is always closest to the source document, which is over here. And if a new document pops in, of course, it's going to then moving to the left and less relevant to the right. So this is another feature or a way of reviewing relevant documents visually, and also have an insight to where and why a document is relevant, and where in the document you find the sections that are relevant to that specific feature. Of course, it can be downloaded as an Excel file. And so in the end, you can then select certain documents you want to include, and then download it as a file or Excel sheet offline for massaging the specific contents and reporting. And you don't really have to use this. This is the first working point in the platform, and then you can print out what you would like to have in your final sort of report structure on your own. And then, of course, reshape the columns and so on as you like. So that is the way of using a claim charting to review it from a different point of view. And then I want also to show a little bit on the chatting part where we do in the studio. In the studio, it's more like you recognize this interface. It's similar to the ones that used in most of AI chatbots, but this is totally local. That's the one main difference. And I can then put in my general text again. Either I create here a project, similar as you do outputs from Apple Room documents, and you can prompt those, or I can just upload my Invention disclosure or drawing or something like that, and use that as a part of performing a screening search within the platform. And this is more moving also to more of a conceptual exploring, where you want to elaborate around a certain topic, and then you get a different approach like this, and you can then start selecting if documents are relevant. You can highlight those this way, and you can then start talking, creating prompts or discussions around that feature, how that can be interesting for you. Either you were sort of of course you can prompt whatever. This doesn't really make sense to put time on that, but if you start asking questions, you can either talk about asking general questions on trends, for instance, or how different relevant documents relate to each other, or I can use certain parts that are pre-prompted for helping out. And then we have a massaged pre-prompting skills in the back end to give you some information on the area. So this is more of a scouting to see what kind of trend in the area and what other information are covered in pattern documents other than information on technology, but they also talk a lot about market or trends or possibilities or changes and how they evolve. And that information can be prompted to give a report that helps you to evolve around the project in a more interactive fashion. And of course, you can have the different projects stored together, and then you have your relevant favorites. They're going to be up here, and you can, of course, here as well open up documents to review them and comment in those documents manually. So you always can go back to the source and see why they are relevant, and then put that data in as well. So that is a very important part. You can do the high level prompting and interaction and get recommendations and insights, but in the end you need to be able to move back into that specific part of the document to find out, was it actually 100% relevant, or maybe I find other sections that are even more relevant than the ones suggested, and I can use that as a way of moving faster and analyze more easily the prior art found to present my report understanding, or to move on more quickly in a manual top-up later on. So this is the elaboration tool of a checkpoint for that part. And then I also want to touch on some of the news we have added to the regular interface, which is then the search case mode. And here is this iterative part. We actually have full control, and you do one search and then you do another, and then you follow up one by one, and it learns from your history. And here again, we can use the same example, and you can then either rewrite using the AI, or you add more text. You can use the patent, you can do drawings, you can even use home pages if you want to analyze something on the internet, and then use that information as a way to see what kind of data come in. And this example, we are just using this super short example. And here you're also able to go hybrid. That means that you can use a Boolean language to steer the analysis to a certain direction. Either you just use it, if you just put in a text, that's what's going to be used for basic analytics. But if I put thing here, it has to be including temperature for some means or another. It's going to use that data and steer in primarily documents that cover the Boolean strategy, which is here. And then we can have parentheses and truncations and or not and so on. Is it the same? You can also limit it to time to certain companies, IPC classes, and so on, and even certain set of documents. And this I just going to show running it like I did previously. And then this is the traditional interface of the IP screener, where we have more of a structured way. This is my first iteration. And this resembles previous versions. But what we have added here now also is the possibility to do an internal case analysis within the test here. So I can start interacting with documents. And maybe I ask a super example, the trend, sorry, I not straight here. And then it can start querying those and then reviewing the subset I'm working with and giving me some analytics on how these displays are being run. And now it's super small, so of course then I'm going to have to do it larger to give that. And so I can prompt at the same time I decide to highlight certain parts on the document set before I start reviewing them. And if I want to open those specific documents, I can of course directly pop to that features. Also in the general interface, I still have the options to review. I can set the highlights to show certain words that I want to be highlighted in certain colors. The innovation landscape as defined by the AI, according to my input, which was this very short text here. And then I can, in the end, also right now, if I find a lot of relevant documents that I ranked, I can create an executive summary based on those documents and how they relate to my input. So basically, I think this document was relevant. I'm going to mark it relevant. I'm going to mark out sections within document, and that's going to help me out also to make an assisted report, and I can use that as a way of print out. To also show some new features here, that means each document is being, even here we have in the backend a categorization according to features. So here I see, again, we're sort of seeing these kind of features that were identified. So we see here that the beverage contains outside viewing, temperature indicating, thermal insulation has been identified in several documents and a number of currencies. So I can select to see only documents that have temperature sensing, for instance. I can apply that, and I have only those documents being shown in my list. And so this is a way of interacting with the data in a new way already here to see the certain features. And this is, of course, the AI feature. But we also have what we have a classifier where we have defined certain part. That in this case, I defined the MAG case is a case where it talks about disposable coffee cups, where the heating means temperature means, and that's going to be classified in that field. And we see it actually classifies 22 documents according to my own very more detailed description on what such an invention is. So I already get that information on beforehand by the AI in the platform. And of course, I can then rank on documents which I did and so on. We also have added features on analyzing drawings, because if it's just numbers, this could be difficult to understand what they are. And then we got here, yes, a quick description that number, A is actually the lid and 2 is the bottom member. So we had analyzed the drawing, and we can include this into the case itself as a comment or an analytics. Very often for mechanical cases, the drawing is the main thing, and the text is maybe not so interesting, or less descriptive at least. We also have other options here to summarize several parts of documents. If you like that, you can use a lot of drop-down features if you want to use it. But also we have a way of having the AI assisting us in the analytics here. This is more nitty-gritty, you could say. So how is this relevant? I think it's relevant, and this was my input. Please tell me how is relevant. And then the AI gives me some features to it. And basically, that is where we aim for, that the AI gives you bullet points and inspiration, and you use that as a leverage to move on your own analytics more comprehensively. So maybe you thought that was good. You keep that and you add some, and also, and then we save that as a comment. But we can also, of course, do this within the document. So now I comment it on the document, but I can also make my own sections like this. Add marker, and then I say feature 1, and I want to make a comment here. So please summarize for me what this section was. And then it analyzes this marked section, of course, only. Or I can just do what is different between this section and my main input. And then I add it as a marker. And I have yellow dots here. And those are going to be stored in the document all over the platforms. If I find a document that has already been ranked on in a specific case, I can see what actions I did on that document previously in previous actions, which is then also shown up here. So in this case, I see it's been used. This document has been found in a lot of cases previously, and I can open up that case if I have access to it, of course, but some cases are locked. So this one I can see it's been also used by another person, Daniel, but I can't access it without permission. So that's coming back to the access rights in the platform. And if I want to make a refined search, the AI takes into account the fact that I did rank documents and make comments. So if I refine here, I can make a new search, either just by clicking the button and the AI does everything, or I change the input, or I add keywords or parameters, and I search new version. But just to show you how it would look like, I can then, in this interface, go on and run the whole search again to find more documents that relate to my case in this question. And as you see, then there will be new documents, but also the heat map of the animation landscape is going to be updated accordingly because these are new documents that has been recorded from a new input tweak. And then I can go on and make new. Now we see that I have a chain here. So I did a search 2 based on search 1, but maybe I have a case here. So 1, I actually going to go with insulation, and the second feature is about the heating means. Then I can go back to case 1, and I actually ranked now this to be background, for instance, and then maybe this document was is more relevant, and I make a comment, and I refine the search again, and I run it, and now I'm standing in query 1. So if we go into manual querying, now we have visual querying, so we can see then that in this case we have a new case that is originating for search 1, because where I stand, then I backtrack the learnings to that position. So if I have done 7 searches in a row, then the search number 5 is based on the previous 4. But if I move up to the first search, which I did here, I start a new thread, a new node, and I can keep going in that direction with the tweaks. Yeah, in this kind I had now one document found, so maybe I want to write an executive summary to see what's found of. No, it was super short because I didn't make any short notes on this, and I can add the note on that. But then in the end, I can also make a report on that part. I'm going to show my reports, and the report could be several. So if I use the previous report on the general part, I'm going to open this. We can see then, this was not the wrong one. This was the wrong report. But let's see. Oh, sorry, I took the wrong one. This one was one to show. So then it's going to be a little bit like this. So I can have the logo of my organization, the general verdict of the case, the input, the heat map, a table with documents found, and for each document, the one-pager with the keywords highlighted in colors. But also we see that all the markings I made, the documents on the document, but also the comments made in the document are included in the report. So I have a very quick way of reviewing this together with other persons in the meeting and so on. But also showing you the way of doing We can also have an automated report, and this is a new feature as well. Then the system makes a report without you having to do anything, as a sort of first introduction to the case, which can be read just to assist the later input of data. And then it will look like this. And so you will get the one pager like this, where this is totally AI analyzed input to what is the potential inventive features, what are some risks and dependencies in terms of mini FTO, and then we can also find some documents that are relevant for both in claiming and for novelty, and for each one of those we see documents provided in a list like this. And then here I didn't do anything. Actually, I asked that the AI do the first screening for me and improve documents in this preliminary report. And this could be a standing point for just reading. So I have an invention disclosure, but I also have this report being provided already when you review it as a starting point as a searcher, and then you can use it to move faster and run on. So it's just giving you more insights to run more efficiently onwards. So this is the way of how to sort of improve and make the work faster and more qualified. Yes, and then we have our latest news, which is the agent. Everyone talks about agent these times. Of course, we also have added some new parts to it, but there are different options. And we have there are different tweaks. Yeah, you can go for novelty or infringement FTO part, or you want to try different features disclosed by others. In this case, I asked run a similar approach and let this talk for a while. And this is just also a way of showing what actually happened more or less in the automated report, but you can see what happens and then take on to do more interactive approach as well. So in this mode, it starts processing, and then we have introduced a skill set of what kind of approaches would be done in the back end to find relevant prior art. It's to certain input, but also helps it a bit on the structure. Now I really put nothing in here. It was just on conceptual level, and in this it actually talks to me. Please let me. How do you want to do this? Oh, it's actually chronic. I want that to be the part how you fix the temperature, and then for the structure layer cross section, I want to have a paper material, for instance, and now I want to have passive reading. So yeah, let's do it with this. This is as a very way, or you can also have, of course, the AI to assist as well, but assisting you in giving some more details on potential ways to introduce if you want to go one layer down, because this is, as we saw, this typical example as such is already known. Is a very simple example, of course, but then just to show you the structure of, okay, conceptually it's known, then I have to go to implementation level. It's the implementation done by ceramics or by display means. No, it's actually display means. Okay, but it's no display means. What kind of difference do you have? Well, it's because it's printed display means, for instance. So here we see it goes on and starts reading and goes more and understand, and to give me more insights on what kind of structures that are available and around this typical part. And you can have it shorter or longer in the run to give more or less data, depending on the importance on the way. So that's a similar way of reviewing it. And if I just then go for my sessions, I can show that a typical end report could then look like this. If you keep doing it, normally takes 3-4 minutes to run it full. And then you have some novelty assessment and documents found and what they are and how they relate to this specific case. Just showing you. But then you're interacting with questions. You can improve it along the way. Either you skip it or you improve it. So this becomes a dialogue, assisted dialogue to perform the search together with the AI, rather than having it being totally automated, as you saw. And of course, this can be printed out as well, and you can review it. That was my 50 minutes I had. Was thinking of, so maybe leaving up for some specific questions and thoughts around these modules we have introduced, which have been added to the case search was where we started. Now we have 4 parts as well. So are there any specific questions or something that maybe not wasn't totally clear, or maybe additional thoughts about the data or something like that? I'd be happy to answer it.